Lena flips on the porch light, and a single lamp in the kitchen steadies her with its muted glow. Margaret's voice ricochets through the hallway. If Lena walks in, shut that file. David is frozen, fingers pressed to a stack of passports stamped with cities Lena has never heard of. The lamp makes Margaret's knuckles glow white when she drops the envelope, her eyes sharp. I was wrong to call you home, she murmurs, the word wrong heavy between them. A second folder slides beneath the table, and the air smells like rain on asphalt. Lena eases the manila envelope into the drawer with her thumb. The muscle memory of straightening the corners is a comfort as Margaret clears her throat and moves toward the stove. The lamp's pale glow pools over the kettle as Margaret tilts the spout. A faint whistle offering a soft counterpoint to the quiet, so often interrupted by clinking silverware when the house was full. You'll need to leave in an hour, she says without looking up. And Lena nods because she knows the rhythm. Coffee first, then the list that waits on the refrigerator door. Margaret pours, steam curling like exhaled thoughts. And Lena leans against the counter, running a fingertip along the chipped tile where the two once practiced recipes. How was your day? She asks, because even on the cusp of change they always ask. Margaret shrugs with a smile that makes the first sip taste ordinary. She tells Lena about a neighbor's dog and the way the sun hits the backyard at this hour. David slides into the doorway, newspaper tucked under his arm, eyes already skimming headlines before he tucks it aside for a brief, warm morning. Lena ties the apron strings she inherited from Margaret. The scent of citrus soap blooms in the air, and for a moment the files, passports, and rain-damp memories seem like just another shelf of ordinary. Margaret hands her a stack of post-it notes. Bills, reminders, a lunch order. Each scribbled task another thread in the fabric of this morning. Lena smiles, the kind that steadies her. This makes the later confession feel like falling. The gentle weight of a family that, up until now, kept her steady. Through Lena's eyes, the family trust ledger entry in Margaret's unmistakable tidy script mirrors the accountant's printout of transfers, both noting the same unexplained $2,400 withdrawal. She taps her pen against the base of the vintage Harper phone. The rhythm falters as the first sharp ring cuts through the golden hush. Her fingers tense, she sets the pen aside, lifts the receiver, the ringing echoing her sudden stillness. Accountant. Lena. The trust shows two $200,000 transfers to Astor Consulting on consecutive dates, both signed by Margaret. Are those expected? Lena Harper. Margaret never mentioned offshore moves. Should I be worried? Lena Harper's fingers freeze on the phone. Her breath catches as the study's edges blur, the ritual calm cracking her expression. Lena drags the accountant's transfer printout across the desk, the paper whispering over wood as she angles it beside the family trust ledger. Her fingers rhythmically trace the columns, pressing hard enough to crease the margin, refusing to let the numbers slide away. She sets the vintage Harper phone face down, the deliberate stillness echoing her tightening grip. Can I keep trusting Margaret when the trust suddenly shows withdrawals to Astor Consulting? Margaret handles the investments. Maybe she's just repositioning funds. Let's wait for her explanation before we panic. Lena sweeps the accountant's printout aside, curls her fingers around the leather-bound family trust ledger, and flips pages until her thumb hooks the spread listing the transfers. She drags a nail across the inked lines, holding the ledger open with both palms, pressing down until the spine creaks beneath the twin $200,000 entries signed by Margaret. Her other hand closes around the vintage Harper phone, knuckles whitening as she anchors the ledger in place. The family trust ledger page under Lena's gaze lists June 17th, Astor Consulting, $200,000, with Margaret's looping signature beside it and no annotation explaining the transfer. These transfers are right here, signed by Mom. How can I still trust her with the trust? Margaret wouldn't endanger us. Maybe she sees something we don't, so let's not jump to betrayal. Lena Harper lifts the vintage Harper phone with both hands, thumb tracing Margaret's digits before pressing call and holding it to her ear. She straightens, shoulders squared, eyes fixed on the silence as the line delivers no answer. David Harper's jaw clenches, fingers tightening against his temples as his shoulders dip slightly forward. The quiet room swallowing the small shuffle of Lena's fingers on the phone. I can't pretend these withdrawals aren't happening. How long do I keep trusting her if I can't even explain them? Let's not let the numbers tear the room apart. We wait, hear her side, then decide. Accusing her now would crack everything we've held together. The ledger's newest line reads, Transfer 1014, Bridgewater Properties, 180750. Followed by Margaret's smeared initials in the margin, a note that matches the tiny smudge the password alert referenced. Lena flips open the family ledger, fingers trailing across the worn cover, before she presses the familiar passphrase into the digital lock. Each entry makes the wall-mounted surveillance tablet flare crimson with the banner that Margaret updated the credentials minutes ago. Lena's shoulders stiffen, and her hand hovers over the ledger before she clenches her jaw, eyes narrowing as she studies the familiar pages. Why lock the ledger? I need to see the Astor transfers before the trail goes cold. Because I rerouted that money to cover the contractor I bribed for the highway permit. Don't drag outsiders into this. Lena Harper's shoulders stiffen, eyes widening as if the words struck a blow, breath caught just long enough for the silence to feel loud. She pivots toward the doorframe, palm flattening against the wood, shoulders tightening as she leans in and lets the door swing closed. The motion, rigid and final. From Lena's vantage through the humming tablet, the family ledger lies open with tonight's line penciled, Transfer, M. Harper, 2:48 p.m. The recipient column conspicuously blank, a single asterisk like a silent accusation. She whips the wall-mounted surveillance tablet, thumb dragging the glowing feed toward blackout as the camera icon flares around her hand with the timestamp locked on her twitching wrist. Lena's fingers freeze, knuckles whitening around the tablet as her shoulders rise in a tight tremor, eyes flicking toward the corner where dust motes tremble like a verdict. After the call, Lena lifts the smartphone, thumb tapping the voicemail icon until the automated message clicks on, and she stands with shoulders squared. The device pressed to her ear as dust motes waver around her. The family ledger through Lena's eyes shows a fresh entry. Harper Family Trust, $120,000, diverted to North Haven. Its ink still damp as if written moments before. Lena Harper's jaw clenches, fingers pressing crescent moons into the edge of the desk as her spine stiffens. Her breath hitched, shoulders rising before she forces them down, eyes narrowing on the ledger. Through Lena's eyes, the ledger page labeled Protection Fees gleams under the lamplight. Margaret's precise script tracing quarterly dates as if accounting for something beyond inheritance. Lena Harper drags her fingertips over the worn combination dial, feeling the click reverberate through her palm before yanking the lid open. She lifts it, breath hitching as the lamplight spills over stacked journals, sealed letters, and the ledger page labeled Protection Fees. Fingers hovering before she bends to pull the top journal free. Her fingers freeze on the dial, her shoulders rising as a sharp inhale catches in her throat. Her eyes widen, the lamplight painting her face pale as she leans closer, trembling slightly with the gravity of the revelation. Through Lena's eyes, the ledger page labeled Protection Fees is open to an entry listing the same Four Seasons weekend date as the hotel receipt, lying beside the cream envelope engraved with Adrian Cole. Through Lena Harper's gaze, the ledger page glows pale in lamplight, each $75,000 entry for protection fees. wedged between a hotel receipt and a fixer's number. Harper's hands tremble over the ledger, fingers curling inward as if bracing against the sudden weight of the numbers. Her jaw clenches, eyes narrowing until the lamplight catches the tight line of her mouth. Lena wrenches the journal from the stack, jerking the spine open until the lamplight floods the dated page. She drags a finger along Margaret's precise script, then snaps the volume shut with a stifled hiss and shoves it back toward the safe deposit box, knuckles whitening. The ledger page labeled "Protection Fees" glows under the lamplight, its cramped entry spelling out how Margaret funneled Adrian's fixer payments into Coleman debt collector hush money. Proof that the threats were always paid off to keep the past buried. Lena Harper collapses onto the crate, shoulders folding inward as her hands curl around the ledger, and a startled tremor spreads through her jaw, tears glinting at the corners of her eyes. She piles the journals onto the ledger page, stuffs the letters beside them into the safe deposit box, and slams the lid with a decisive clack. Lena Harper's shoulders hunch slightly as she plants both palms on the ledger, knuckles whitening. Her jaw locks, eyes narrowing into a cold focus that won't let her turn back. Through Lena's eyes, the ledger page labeled "Protection Fees" lies open beside the safe deposit box, each line of sums and initials proof of Margaret's secret compromises. Margaret's journal lies open to a page where, amid looping love letters, a neat annotation reads, "Protection Fees, Astor Consulting $200K. The same sum the trust ledgers obsessively track. Is there a way to drag this into the light and still keep the contractors paid? The workers on the books? No, Lena. Once the curtain lifts, they bolt. The layoffs happen before we can breathe. Silence is the only currency left." Margaret Harper's fingers tremble on the desk, knuckles whitening as she clings to the papers, her shoulders hunching as if bracing to keep the storm at bay. David steps from the doorway, palms flattening on the desk beside the laptop, shoulders squared as he angles his body between Lena and the glow of the screen. His profile stiffens, eyes flicking along the ledgers as stormlight dances. But his hands stay anchored, holding the path closed. Lena Harper's jaw clenches so hard, a vein stands out along her temple, eyes flicking between ledgers and the stormlight. Her shoulders drop, then straighten as she forces herself to swallow the breath before she can move. Lena snatches the stack of trust ledgers, flipping to the pages with the two $200,000 transfers and pressing her fingertips so hard the edges crease. Her shoulders squaring as the stormlight slices across the ink. "You're forcing me to choose between leaking everything and letting the trust collapse or keeping the lie alive to preserve what little stability we have." Yes. Both paths hurt. But silence keeps the contractors paid and the layoffs at bay. Lena Harper's shoulders square, breath shredding out as her fingers curl white-knuckled on the edge of the desk. Her eyes harden, stormlight flickering across a face set with quiet defiance. Lena snatches the ledger of transfers to Astor Consulting and slams it onto the desk, her palm thudding beside the two $200,000 entries. "What do you think you're going to do with all this proof, Margaret?" "I paid Astor to keep the trust afloat, Lena. You wouldn't understand the pressure of keeping everyone safe." Lena's fists clench at her sides, jaw tightening as her shoulders rise with the storm's rhythm. David Harper snatches the ledger from the desk, the leather cover creaking as he flips it open and traces the transfers with a hard thumb. He yanks the Adrian Cole hotel receipts free from beneath the journal, spreading the hospitality charges across the oak with a defiant precision. His shoulders square, and he slams the ledger shut, the echo matching the storm outside. "Are you really going to let this disappear just to keep Margaret safe?" "I'm sending the ledger, the receipts, even the journal entries to the others. No more hiding, no matter how much it hurts." Margaret Harper's fingers twist in her lap, knuckles blanching as her eyes dart upward and back to the ledger. Through Lena's eyes, Margaret's journal entry lies open beneath the ledger of transfers to Astor Consulting, the inked confession aligning with the same 3 payments that glint in the ledger and match the Adrian Cole hotel receipts stacked beside it. Those dinners and withdrawals weren't protection, Margaret. They were a cover for betrayal. And you hid every receipt in case someone actually looked. I hid them because the debt collector would have ripped us apart. And every payment to Astor was to keep that man from showing you the real scandals he was ready to sell Brussels' name to. David presses his palm to his mouth, shoulders slumping with the weight of betrayal, then nods faintly, chin lifting as if bracing for the tempest outside. Lena lifts her phone, aligning the camera to include the ledger, the Adrian Cole receipts, and Margaret's journal fanned beside the keyboard, then taps to start the video call. She places her palm flat on the ledger's first page, holding it steady as the screen fills with family faces. Fingers tightening, she slides the journal forward so every entry is visible, breathing in the storm's tremor before setting her shoulders square. I'm taking the ledger, the Adrian Cole receipts, the journal entries to counsel and the family, and we rebuild the finances on honesty. If you drag that out, the investigations will swallow us whole before anyone can even try to fix the mess. David's jaw clenches, eyes locking on Lena's grip, shoulders bracing as though anchoring himself for the reckoning ahead. The kitchen table still smells faintly of Evelyn's cayenne stew, and the silence feels thick with things unsaid. Maya sets the ledger into her messenger bag, the smudge of Margaret's letters ghosting through the plastic cover. Alongside it, she slides the pamphlet for the community legal clinic. No signature, just a bold title. Accountability Council. The new world fits awkwardly beside the old handwriting. She lifts her suitcase, the zipper catching once, and exhales. The air on the porch is sharp. The streetlight washes the frost in silver. Maya presses her palm to the doorframe, feels the groove worn by a lifetime of entrance and return, and steps back. Her hand meets the knob, turns. The door clicks shut. Behind her, the house has no welcome left to offer. Ahead, the snow swallows the sound of her footsteps.